Hello, everyone. This is Christy Cooley. I am with District 68. I am the PR manager, and I am here with our member spotlight of the month, September 2023, with Mr. Gene Reyes. Gene was a former supervisor at New Orleans Public Service, where they had a Toastmasters club. He is a proud graduate of Louisiana State University. Gene was invited by his immediate supervisor to join Toastmasters. He's been a member ever since and saw the benefit that Toastmasters offered to help him overcome his nerves and speech issues. He discovered that his Toastmasters club is used to scout out possible candidates for the supervisor position at his job, and that's how he got promoted in his career at the time. At Toastmasters, he also enjoyed the free lunch that came along with meetings and networking within his company. Later on in his career, he became a transportation superintendent for Louisiana Power Light / Entergy Corporation. After he retired in 1999, he continued attending regular Toastmasters club meetings to enrich his retirement life and continue learning because he has seen the power of Toastmasters. He was one of many leaders who helped revive District 68 when it was in danger of losing its place due to poor club performance in 1981. Shortly after, District 68 was tied for #1 in the world. He has so many career highlights, like serving as district governor and earning a presidential select district and presidential distinguished district in his time. And he received a presidential citation from Toastmasters International in 2021. In addition, Gene was a tour guide with Tours by Isabel New Orleans for 18 years and part of the local Tour Guide Association. He served as president for the National Tour Guide Association. Gene was then elected to serve on the executive committee of the International Tour Guide Association. This was all accomplished prior to Hurricane Ida in August 2021. I would like to welcome Gene right here on the Zoom. Gene, thank you for joining me today for this interview.
Christy, thank you so much. I'm absolutely delighted to be here and thrilled. Thank you.
All right, we'll get started. So what's your original reason to join Toastmasters?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I'm a true native of New Orleans. And after I graduated from LSU, I was hoping to get into a managerial position. So I wanted to get as many advantages as possible. I heard about Toastmasters. My immediate supervisor told me about it, took me to it, and I fell in love with it. But I had to overcome one other thing that people who are true natives of New Orleans, and that is to try to overcome the unique language, you might say, that we have here in New Orleans, the accent. Try to overcome things like where you're at, how your mom and them. That does not get it. So I knew I needed help. And thank goodness Toastmasters was there to help me.
Wonderful. So what are your reasons for continuing to attend Toastmasters meetings today?
Well, several people had asked me that question, to be perfectly honest. And I got to the point where I jokingly would tell them, well, I'm sorry, but I'm a very slow learner. No, that's not the case. The case is I actually love the organization. There is no better organization in the world that's going to give you what Toastmasters gives you. There's just no, you can take the most expensive seminars and speech other groups that teach speaking, but nothing will give you what Toastmasters gives. Trust me. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you on that. My next question for you is, what aspect of Toastmasters surprised you after joining?
Well, the biggest thing that surprised me was the power of Toastmasters. I cannot believe that, first of all, it helped me because I was a nervous wreck. I was the type that could hardly stand up on his feet and respond or start to shake. And of course, I saw so many I literally have seen people get sick or run to the restroom. And then You witness the true power of Toastmasters and see what it does, how it changes people. And it builds up their confidence. So no matter what they are faced with, Toastmasters can handle it. And that was really what impressed me the most.
Yes, I would definitely agree with that as well. All right. Tell us about a time when you utilized something you gained from Toastmasters in your professional or personal life.
Well, surprisingly, the Toastmasters gave me the confidence to get more involved in a lot of activities I always wanted to get involved with, community activities, but I was always afraid to. So before you knew it, I was becoming involved, and people were recognizing my leadership abilities that I received through Toastmasters. And before you know it, I was becoming president of all kind of organizations, as you mentioned before, past president of the local tour guide association, past president of the National Federation of Tour Guides, and then elected to the executive committee of the World Federation of Tour Guides, which is Toastmaster associations throughout the world. That was a tremendous, tremendous benefit for me.
Absolutely. And I know your boss at I think it was the New Orleans Public Service, asked you to take over a meeting because of your Toastmasters experience. That's correct?
That's correct. Just to give an example, he was a former Toastmaster, and we had a very important meeting where they had managers from throughout the company. And all of a sudden, he got an emergency phone call. And he just quickly turned to me and said, Gene, I need for you to continue to run the meeting. Of course, I was shocked, but he knew that I could handle it because of my Toastmasters experience. And thank goodness it worked out well.
So glad it did. I mean, you have quite a resume to show for it. How have you changed since you joined Toastmasters? Give us an example.
Well, I certainly become much more confident and outgoing. I was the type who would not, before Toastmasters, raise my hand or say much of anything. Now, of course, they can't shut me up. I, I'm not afraid to express my opinion, but to do it in a professional manner. The power of speaking is just tremendous if it's done in the correct manner. And I found that that can open up so many doors that it's incredible. And like I tell people, uh, you're not going to get any better training than Toastmasters. It's just not there.
Absolutely. How has serving in leadership roles in Toastmasters benefited you?
Well, to be perfectly honest, it's been very rewarding, and it's nice to be recognized. And I was recognized, and let's see, in the mid '90s. Just to give you one example, a local young professional group here in New Orleans called the Young Leadership Council, very prominent young leaders. And every year they elect role models for the city. And I was one of their role models selected in 1995, which I was extremely proud of because it had such people being selected as the former mayor of New Orleans, Ray Nagin, and other people like that, that I was very, very delighted, of course, happy. That's just one example.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us. And what would you tell a person who is on the fence about joining Toastmasters?
That's an excellent question because I think we all face that in Toastmasters. And my favorite story is to tell people that hey, you could have the best product in the world. You could be the most intelligent person in the world, or you could come up with something that's just absolutely extraordinary. However, if you cannot communicate, if you cannot convince people and market your product, then you have nothing. You absolutely have nothing. Join this organization, and I assure you, you will be very, very successful.
Yes. Yes. definitely. I agree with that. And what would you say to someone who doesn't want to join Toastmasters because they are afraid of public speaking?
Well, that's a, once again, it's another type of question that we will be faced with trying to get people to join. And I basically tell them, hey, you come to the right place. This is it. We don't do it. There's no salespeople. There are no people pressuring you to join our organization. It's the finest nonprofit communication organization in the world. You progress at your own pace. It's so inexpensive, it's ridiculous. So why not join the best while you have the opportunity? Do not miss the opportunity to join Toastmasters.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you. Is there any additional information that you'd like to share with us today?
Now, one thing that I find becoming involved with so many other organizations is that people look up to leaders in any organization. And if you're actually a communicator, they are going to listen. If you know how to talk and communicate, they will listen because you're usually standing up there as a professional. You and I know one of the worst things you can hear, because what Toastmasters explains, we pick up on this, is when, let's say, a president of an organization is giving a report, every little word is, and it irritates the heck out of us because we know they need to. And I can see where that alone has made Toastmasters we become the worst critics, I guess, in the world because no matter who we listen to, we start to critique them. And then if we get the chance, we say, hey, come join Toastmasters. We will help you out. Trust me.
Absolutely. Yes. I know Toastmasters has really benefited you and of course myself. You have quite the resume with Toastmasters, district governor, receiving all of those presidential awards. And I'm sure that Toastmasters, I know, is very happy to have you. And I'm so glad to have met you and know you because you have quite the resume. So thank you so much for joining me for this interview today.
Okay, well, thank you. One last thing let me say, because, District 68 has really had an up and down history, you might say. And it was back in the late 70s where Toastmasters International letter came to us, the leaders, and said, look, we're going to have to disband District 68 because you just are losing too many clubs, you're not being productive, and we're going to give you a year to turn this thing around. Well, within 2 to 3 years, not only did it turn around, we became number one in the world. The next year, number one in the world. The third year, which was the year I served as the district governor, we tied for number one. So I'm very proud to be a member of District 68. We have a fantastic history, but it's mostly because of you, the member. Without the member, we have nothing. And you'll meet the most fantastic people in the world. I made lifelong friends, and I just can't say enough about it. So please help us continue to move in that direction. I'm delighted with the current leadership we have now, and it's been that way for quite a few years. So we're back on the rise again. We're back heading on top, and District 68 will be where it belongs, at the top of the list. So thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to everybody, and I hope they love and enjoy Toastmasters as I have.
Yes, I appreciate that too. And District 68 is in its 60th year. So we are going 60 for 60, which means we want to have more new clubs and just excel for greatness. So thank you for being a part of that, Jean. Really appreciate all of your time serving the district and being such a great presence and I'm sure a role model for others. So again, thank you for joining me for this interview on Zoom.
Thank you, Chris. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk, especially to fellow Toastmasters. So I thank you. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Please stay safe.